Roger.
Hello.
Thank you for coming to my humble abode to talk about wonderful spiritual things.
Oh, nothing makes my heart glow more.
Me too, exactly. So finding felicity, it wasn't meant to be arrogant, but it's about finding happiness or finding the way,
Sure.
finding peace.
Yeah.
You know, and I think like yourself, I've been a bit of a spiritual gypsy and
Yes.
roamed
Yes.
many places and
Byways.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Tell me about you. Tell me, because we met quite recently at your One Garden.
Yes.
It's a weekly sort of meditation, I guess.
Well, it takes place here in Brighton, as you know, on a Wednesday afternoon. I prepare some sort of paper and we have silent meditation, and then we go into reading and dialogue on the paper that I've presented, and then we finish off with a second bit of silent meditation. So I guess you could call the whole of it a meditation if you wanted to.
Yes.
And I started with that about 5 years ago because although I'd heard of the different faiths, the different traditions, I didn't feel that I was at home with them, and I didn't feel as though I'd got a living, breathing pathway to some of them. Some of my very brief encounters many years ago with a geography teacher, I think it was, talking about Hinduism, which appear to have a multiplicity of gods, which isn't true. They're almost like gateways into the similar belief to Christianity and Islam and so on of one God.
They all do seem to have that one, even if it's Krishna or whoever.
Oneness is the key,
yes,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So I set out to try and find and establish a living connection with some more of the great traditions. Because some guy, I later found that some theologian, I think, said that he who knows only one religion knows none. And I thought that the more I have lived with that, the more I believe it to be true.
Definitely. Because I was raised a Catholic, and we're obviously raised, of course, with that I am the way, the truth, the light.
Yes.
And it's like, oh, so does that mean that all the Jews and the Hindus and they don't get a look in?
They're damned.
They're damned.
The area that I'm working in is not to, God forbid, create another religion or a sect, but it's called interspirituality.
Yes.
And it was a Roman Catholic monk who operated in the community. In other words, he was a lay monk or whatever. Wayne Teasdale, who wrote a wonderful book called The Mystic Heart, and he coined the term interspiritual. And there are two ways of looking at that. Either the person that you're talking with is happy in their Catholicism or their Judaism or whatever, but they want, as I did, to have a bridge to those other traditions, because beyond all of those traditions there is a oneness.
Yes.
Although interfaith, I mean, for example, in 1893, the World Congress of Faiths met for the first time. Very few women, curiously enough. All these people, priests and mullahs and all, are on this enormous stage. It's on Wikipedia if you want to have a look at it.
I'll have a look, yeah.
And they still haven't come to understand what is the most important thing that would bring peace to the world. And that is the simple acknowledgement that beyond my tradition and all its words and its rituals and all the rest of it, there is a level of oneness out of which these various religions have come.
So is that the egoic minds of these people that cannot?
It is, and religions are always ruined, usually by men, but maybe that's because women didn't, maybe they would be as bad, I don't know. But historically, humans, absolutely. But, they had vested interest, their status, their income, and all the rest of it. It was problematic for them to have the courage to say, I have my tradition, my religious community, but I recognise, because there is a level of oneness beyond all of my words and rituals and history, there is that oneness, and it's out of that those traditions came.
Yes.
The disease, if it has a name, it's exclusivity. It's my way, the others may be good, but mine's better.
Yes.
Which is where most of the suffering takes place.
Well, Alan Watts says that we've been hypnotised for 2,000 years. Or the glimpses of awakening that I have, the more I realise that that's true. Especially as a woman.
Yes.
I think, my goodness, the awakening that I've had in my lifetime as a woman.
But the interesting thing is that in every age there always were a small number of women and men who were saints. They always were there. There were interfaith, interspiritual people in Islam, in all of the great traditions.
Yes. Is Rumi Islamic?
Rumi is a Sufi.
Yeah.
Islamic.
So, I mean, he could be, the words out of his mouth could be coming from Jesus or whoever,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And another Islamic philosopher, Ibn Arabi, also really made statements about interspirituality, about a level of reality that was, it's very dangerous for some of them, because some of the people who've said, for example, I am God, as a statement, which is basically saying that if I am part of creation and God or ultimate reality is what has produced creation, then if you trace me back, if you as it were trace my little rivulet back to the ocean, it's the ocean that caused
me.
You have to bring the water cycle.
Yes, yeah.
But you get the idea. And I came to the conclusion that really there were three things that all the great traditions, the great religions, asked of people at their heart. The first one is to awaken.
Yes.
And awaken means to deepen and widen your awareness. It's a synonym for consciousness. The second one is to detach from the negatives that are around your lower soul, your egoic self. And the third one is to serve other people better. I share with the Buddhist view that each of us is a Buddha, and that what we need to do is to meditate. There are lots of forms of meditation, but the one that I use and advocate most is I think it's a form of vipassana.
Okay.
And it's one in which you are silent and you're trying to quieten the inner static, the chattering monkey that sits on the shoulder, as the Buddhists say. And the process is primarily one in which you allow whatever comes up to come up. And that's either feelings or thoughts or sensations. If you've got something sticking in your leg or whatever. Instead of chasing them or resisting them, we just let them be.
Yes, and it's quite hard, and it is a discipline and a practice.
It is, and it's a process of discovery.
Yes.
And you succeed sometimes and you succeed less. And
Yes.
we all get caught out when someone presses a particular button, which is what Tolle calls the pain body, which is the group of hurts that you've been carrying with you from wherever.
From generations, probably.
Sometimes it could well be. I've seen that as a recent theory. I'm not closing my mind to it, but I guess most of us have got enough that we collected since childhood. We probably collected quite a few of them in childhood.
Oh, I would say definitely.
And when those buttons get pressed, then we get thrown off balance.
Yes, because we can't articulate it. Whereas if the hurt's happened in adulthood, you can frame it.
Yes.
But when it's that sort of massive childhood.
Well, I think that's where the contemplation using words and language is useful, either before the unitive or after the unitive, because that's where you get introspection, that's where you get insights into yourself. So I've caught myself doing that. That's an interesting pattern because I know darn well that it happened on this previous occasion and so on. So you start to get insight. And as soon as you get an insight, the light breaks through and it has less power over you.
Yeah.
That's the wonderful thing about the process.
Can I tell you about because I remember when I came to your group and I said I've had this spiritual experience, and I had it a long, long time ago, and it was shortly after my mum had died, and I went to a retreat, a religious retreat. It was Catholic, and one of the nuns said to me, "You should try some Ignatian contemplation." And she said, just let the Bible fall open and read a passage and just shut your eyes and imagine that you're there and that you're, right in it. And I've got a very active imagination. And so it fell open on the passage where Jesus has gone to the posh dinner. The woman bursts in on the scene and she's crying and she's washing his feet. And this is, I swear to God, this is what happens. And it was too preposterous, so I couldn't have made it up, if you know what I mean. So it would have come from deep inside my subconscious. But Jesus then looked at me in the face while this woman was washing his feet, and he said, "What the fuck are you looking at?" What happened there? And I remember thinking, he said it with such compassion and such love, and there was such twinkliness in his eyes. What I've taken from it, which gives me great comfort, is that the spiritual life is a challenge. It's fun, and it's crazy, and it's not what you'd expect ever, and it's just a joy. And there's so many levels to it that I really love. And I just think, for whatever reason, it was just a lovely, that Monty Python thing where they're slapping each other with a fish. That's my spiritual fish in the face.
It's even at that level. The thing that I thought of as you were telling me that was that a playwright, I remember reading something about Edward Albee. He said that when he writes a play, he thinks about it for a year and writes it in 2 weeks.
Yes. Yeah.
And how does he know when it's baked and ready to...
Yeah.
It's when the characters in his imagination take on a life of their own.
Yes.
And he finds them answering or saying things instead of himself. So they have a kind of independent existence. And then he writes the play, and they strut their stuff on the stage.
Yeah.
I think he probably meant imagination in a particular way, but Einstein said that imagination was apparently he had a label across the front of his office and said imagination's much more important than really what he was talking about, was scientific methods.
Yes.
Because it was through imagination that he actually solved the problem, that ended up with whatever it was.
E equals mc squared.
Yes,
Exactly. Yeah. Yes, so he had to imagine it and then prove it.
Right, and the maths came before and the maths came afterwards.
Yeah.
And apparently wasn't that hot at maths.
Anyway, exactly.
Compared to some of the others,
Yeah.
they didn't have the imagination.
Yes, yes.